We're back. Today is August 1st and it's 2025. It's Sovereign Minds, the podcast. And we're here once again down in the epicenter of freedom at Mountaintop Media. We need your support, so get a hold of Leslie and give us some support and figure out what you need to do to keep us on the air and so forth. The title of our show today is Podcast 148, News Cycle or Spin Cycle. And we're beginning to wonder which of those is actually true. So we'll start off with, we're going to do a lesson in Grok. Now, Grok is the AI, artificial intelligence for X. There's many of them out there.
There's lots of them,
And so we just kind of wanted to do a demonstration of how, well, I don't know about unreliable, but how biased or how slanted or whatever that this, it's a strange technology and it's not as consistent as I would like it to be. But we asked it, what news headlines dominated this week? Okay. And we had international trade and tariffs, global conflict and humanitarian crisis, U.S. domestic developments, and Texas. I got on mine Texas floods, and I asked Grok the same exact question: Texas floods, Hulk Hogan's death, international tensions, and entertainment and culture. And I asked it, why is the report from Tulsi Gabbard not included? Report from Tulsi Gabbard not included.
Because it's going to come up with something different.
I think it's an A. A, yeah.
And what do we get?
Okay. The absence. So I got mine's pretty close.
Its timing and relative impact. Is it close to yours?
No, it's quite a bit different. So we've got the absence of the National Intelligence Report in the initial list of major news outlets or headlines for this week likely stems from the publication date and the focus in question. What? So now this says is likely due to timing and relative impact. What does timing have to do with any of it? And relative impact compared to other. So in other words, if they found a conspiracy, a treasonous conspiracy by the Obama administration regarding the Russian interference, because they got all of this newly released documentation that shows that they were conspiring to overthrow the election and so forth. That's the timing of that matters, and it doesn't.
Well, yeah, it depends on whether it becomes newsworthy or not.
No, that doesn't matter about the relative impact, right? Because
so you got to stop with that. So you got to wonder how many different AIs are there in Grok if you get different answers. I'm just saying, is it?
I don't know if I thought it was all one big AI.
I don't know.
So it's interesting. So then I asked it. I said, "Why is the report from Tulsi?" Or no, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one. I asked, analyze Gabbard's credibility. Gabbard. Yeah, there you go. Gabbard's credibility. Bill, T. Okay.
And
we got a whole bunch of background.
Behind door number one.
She's polarizing. Okay. Her political trajectory raises question about her ideologically consistency. Interference claims, election, criticism, multiple sources. Gee, the multiple sources include CNN, PolitiFact, and the Washington Post. Gee, those are not left-wing
No, not at all.
Organizations.
Why there would be a problem with that?
Foreign policy and controversial associations. Conclusion. Now, what's interesting is that, see if our conclusions are the same.
Tulsi's Gabbard credibility is a mixed picture.
Yeah, mine says that her credibility is polarizing. Her military service and political experience lend some authority, particularly among those distrustful of establishment narratives.
Oh, wow. Way different up on the screen.
So this one says the 2016 report lacks robust evidence to support its grave accusations, aligning more with political narratives than objective intelligence. Her anti-interventionism anti-interventionism appeal to those wary of U.S. overreach, but alienates others who see her as soft. Really? That is the stupidest answer I've ever heard.
That's kind of like word salad.
Now I ask, why did you evaluate her instead of the evidence? Why did you evaluate her instead of the evidence?
I didn't understand the question.
Her instead of the evidence.
I mean, coming back.
Yeah, so
I didn't understand what you're asking me.
This is kind of fun. That's why we want to show this. Because your question
I
specifically asked me to. Yeah, of course. So, which I interpret as to request to assess her reliability and trustworthiness. Okay. But it kind of gave us the impression that the Washington Post, CNN, and the New York Times are trustworthy or opposite. I don't know. Anyway, so keep going. Let's go up, scroll up, down, whatever it is. Targeted. Hold it right there. Targeted analysis of evidence of her election interference claims. She claims in evidence, core allegations. Gabbard released a report on July 18th of treasonous conspiracy by the Obama administration to fabricate evidence of Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. election to undermine Trump. I guess that's just not news, right?
Not according to mainstream media, it's not.
Yeah. She argues.
Well, why is that important?
Yeah,
come on.
The Obama administration, a prior president, conspired with a candidate to eliminate the other candidate who was actually, the president, and then he lost later on. So to eliminate him from being a president, that's not news.
They made it all up.
No matter what side you're on, that's just not news. Okay. So then primary evidence was the Steele dossier reference, the whistleblower email, and the declassified. So go ahead and scroll up, Leslie, and let's see what else we got right here.
Okay.
Counter reviews and critiques. Let's keep going down. Analyze of evidence, quality, strengths, weaknesses.
It's the conclusion.
Yeah, let's go down to the conclusion. Okay.
Gabbard's evidence is insufficient to support her claim of treasonous conspiracy.
While the declassified documents highlight minor procedural questions, they don't overturn the extensive multi-agency evidence of Russian interference. So the multi-agent evidence is who the CIA,
the Senate and Mueller report, grounded in broader data.
Isn't it the same 51 intelligence agency guys that said that there was no Hunter Biden laptop?
Yeah, but that's different.
So
her report's impact is limited by selective framing and lack of new definitive proof.
So I asked it another question. All right, let me see. Okay, we go through all of that. I said, examine declassified emails. Let's examine the declassified emails.
Before we go there, it says, however, I recognize your question may have intended a stricter focus on the evidence itself.
You think?
If you'd like me to dig deeper into specific documents.
Well, let's examine the declassified emails. Overview. Report released, 2 tranches, emails from the Obama intelligence agency discussing Russian activities related to the election. Declassified on July 23rd of 2025, authored by Republicans, that matters, and which critiques the 2017 intelligence community assessments, which, gets interesting. The whistleblower email from an unnamed intelligence official expressing dissent with the ICAs. So somebody in there was going, this is BS, and they just overwrote it, okay? Memos and talking points included December 7th, 2016 draft for the DNI, James Clapper, stating that foreign adversaries did not alter the election infrastructure. So first it does, and then it doesn't. Or doesn't, and then it does when they need it to use it against Trump. So context of key emails pre-election. You could read all this stuff.
Yeah, and then it says, these materials partially detailed in sources like Fox News, CNN, and the Washington Post. Oh.
Yeah. So Clapper's talking points, declassified document prepared for DNA, Clapper states foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the presidential election. Okay, let's keep that in mind. So then I asked it, let's go down to their conclusion.
Where is it?
Keep going. There's a bunch of conclusion. The declassified emails and documents, while revealing some procedural debates and dissent within the IC, the intelligence community, did not substantiate Gabbard's claim of treasonous conspiracy by the Obama administration. They primarily addressed election infrastructure, not the influence operations central to the ICA, which remains corroborated by robust investigators like Mueller's and the Senate and the whistleblower. So let's try this. Ask it. How come your conclusions say go back. How come? Just do your conclusions do not reflect how the dossier, that's DOSSIER, was used to obtain. Your conclusions do not reflect how the dossier, DOSSIER, I couldn't remember how to spell it, DOSSIER, was used to obtain FISA, F-I-S-A, all capital, warrants to spy on the Trump campaign. Guess enter. There we go.
Yeah.
Grok was unable to reply to your. What?
Oh, it depends if you pay for Grok or what. Otherwise, I think you. It's going to go ahead and do. Well, there is a limit. It depends on how you're signed up with Grok.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So it says. Let's go back up to the top while it's doing that. You're right to point out that my previous response did not fully address the specific role of the Steele dossier in obtaining FISA warrants, which, by the way, are illegal to spy on American citizens. That's why they had to bring the Russian dossier in, because that is the link that allows them to go into the campaign.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Which is a critical aspect of Tulsi Gabbard's claims. I'll focus here on examining the declassified emails and the related documents cited in the report as you requested, with a particular emphasis on that the Steele dossier was used in the context of the FISA warrants to spy on Trump's campaign. I'll also address the evidence surrounding these claims, drawing available sources and critical analysis. All right. Examination of the details and limitations, and keep going down here a little bit. And I don't want to go through all this, but I want to show you. All right. Keep counter evidence, analysis of the evidence, weaknesses, addressing your concerns about my conclusions. All right. Conclusion. The declassified emails in Gabbard's report do not provide direct evidence that the Steele dossier was used to complain. That's BS. That's exactly how they got it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's complete BS. Okay. Now,
it's just internal concerns about the dossier inclusion in the ICA.
Yeah. So I got uniform power. So let's see what mine said is because I said my conclusion was a critical component in obtaining it. See, so this is complete. So I'm reading the exact same conclusion off the exact same thing that we typed in. The Steele dossier was a critical component in obtaining FISA warrants to surveil. What does that say? Did not provide evidence that the Steele dossier was used to obtain FISA warrants to spy on the Trump campaign?
So it says under Obama's explicit direction.
This says exactly the opposite. The Steele dossier was a critical component in obtaining FISA warrants to surveil Carter Page, providing allegations that tipped the scales for probable cause in October of 2016 and renewals in 17. And however, the FBI's reliance on unverified dossier claims, failure to disclose its origins, and contradictions, and omissions of disinformation concerns led to 17 documented errors that invalidated the 2 warrants. Does that say that there?
That doesn't say anything like that on there.
Huh.
Not.
So let's go and ask it one more thing. FISA warrants are not to be used on American citizens. If the dossier was a fraud, how can this be legal? FISA warrants are not used on American citizens. If the dossier was a fraud, how can this be legal? Let's see what it says. I got the same thing, legal standards, blah, 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 blah. Go down. It says Roland. The Steele dossier compiled but still funded by... Okay, this is interesting. Go back up. The Steele dossier compiled by Christopher Steele and funded by the Clinton campaign via Fusion GPS alleged... Wait a minute. The dossier is funded by the opposition campaign to a guy who's allegedly trying to make ties between Trump and Russia, and was used for 4 warrant applications to surveil Carter Page, who was in the campaign, and that's how they used it to get into the campaign. And so then you go to the dossier's credibility. The IG report found the dossier was unverified and uncorroborated at the time of the FISA applications. Still, and this was the start of the whole thing. And this isn't mainstream news. They don't pick it up. They say there's nothing.
They don't want to talk about it at all. Russiagate's over with. As far as they're concerned, they don't want to talk and bring it all out and tell the truth about what's really going on and what's being exposed.
This is interesting, though. If you ask the right questions, it coughs up some answers,
Correct.
but it hides. Okay, but it doesn't tell you. It does. You better know what questions to ask is what it comes down to.
And how you ask it, and then how you keep going and asking. And all AI is that way. You have to be careful how you ask things sometimes.
So, was the dossier a fraud? Calling the dossier a fraud implies deliberate fabrication with intent to deceive. The evidence suggests not fully fraud. Not how are you not fully fraudulent? How could you be? You either have some elements of fraud or you don't. So, Steele, a former MI6 officer, compiled the dossier based on sources he believed to be credible. How do you know that he believed them to be credible if he was paid by the Clinton campaign in order to dredge those up?
Yeah.
Though many were unverified.
How do you get paid to do it?
So
I didn't know that you could pay to have it done.
Well, the more you pay me, the more I believe.
Okay. All right.
I believe, man. And so
I'm a believer now.
So the 2023 Durham report criticized Steele's mythology, but didn't label it as fraud. Oh, so getting paid by the other campaign and then using that to obtain FISA warrants to spy on the opposing campaign is not fraudulent at all, is it? And especially when the information is unverified. It's just that the guy who's creating it and getting paid to create it believes it.
Yeah, but he created it.
So
it wasn't based on evidence. It was created because how much money you gave me.
So
I can create a lot of things depending on how much you pay me.
This is very interesting. The legality of the Carter Page FISA warrants hinges on whether the FISA court, FISC is the FISA court, Foreign Intelligence Service Court, was misled, and whether probable cause was adequately established. How could it be adequately established if it was a fraudulent dossier that was unverified and paid for by the opposing campaign in the first place?
It was all made up. How's that work?
All of it.
It was all made up.
So the FISA court approved all 4 warrants. finding probable cause that Page was acting as a Russian. See, the FBI who's presenting this is supposed to give them all the information. They said it was highly probable that this information was substantiated when they knew it was not. So they lied to the FISA court. Okay.
Well, yeah, they had to know because it was made up. The guy created it.
And they admitted later on before, so that's why there's some legal jeopardy. We'll see if anybody starts getting
They
problems.
keep saying that they're going to prosecute on it, but we haven't seen anybody yet.
Brendan's lawyered up already, so we'll see. All right, so FISA allows unverified information in applications if disclosed as such. In other words, if you say it's unverified, you're giving full disclosure to the court. They didn't. All right, that's a problem right there. All right, but the FBI's failure to fully clarify the dossier's unverified status and political funding was a violation of Cantor, not necessarily the law itself. Really? That's not a problem, right?
Nope.
So now you're spying on American citizens with a made-up bunch of crap that was paid for by the opposing campaign. Really? And it's candor. It's really not necessarily a problem. Legal concerns, Fourth Amendment issues. The IG's reports 17 errors, including omissions about Steele's reliability and so forth, misconduct, guilty plea of the FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith for falsifying a document in a FISA renewal indicates misconduct. So this is illegal stuff. It's not just candor; it's falsifying documents. Okay. If you start reading between the lines, you can see that AI is researching and bringing stuff from all over the place and trying to make sense out of something, but it's not using common sense in order to dissect this and figure out if there's a real issue. It's taking both sides and trying to walk the middle in a balancing act.
Well, it could be.
So.
But you got to remember it was something that was created, that it's not true. So, to put it all together, I'm not sticking up for AI. I'm just saying if you stop and think about it.
I'm just analyzing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions. But
that's the way you have to work with AI, whether it's Grok or Claude or whatever.
Well, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
You got to watch how you ask the question and the answers, and you can't say, "Oh, it's gospel."
Definitively.
Yeah, because Grok or whoever said so.
And all the stuff that we just talked about is verifiable. You can verify all of it. The FISA report. You could dig and you could show all this stuff. Okay, so we already know what's going on. Now let's go down. Too fast. Go back up. Right there. Hold on. Okay. Misconduct, guilty plea, evidence. All right, broader context. The FISA process, right there, has faced scrutiny for its secrecy and low denial rate. In other words, they get a 99.7% approval rate because they're working with the FBI or intelligence agencies who are going in there, and it's like a kangaroo court on the data. So it's easy to spy on American citizens, isn't it? Yeah, so critics, including posts on X,
they got enough money, I guess,
that is prone to abuse against citizens. Really? Why do you think we have some of these, amendments in the these constitutional rights that say that unreasonable search and seizure?
You're supposed to have probable cause.
Probable cause. Yeah, none of that matters
in
this FISA court process, does it? All right. So, despite the dossier's flaws, the surveillance wasn't ruled illegal by who? The judge that approved it?
Who did that?
The FISA court found sufficient evidence beyond the dossier, like Carter Page's Russian contacts. So, in other words, if I have a friend in Russia and I'm a Russian, I work in the department that goes to Russia to visit the Russians to have a communication open. All of a sudden, I have a Russian contact. That justifies the surveillance on me, which then, because I'm in the Clinton or the Trump campaign, that means I can spy on Trump too, right?
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? The IG report notes errors, but did not conclude the warrants lacked probable cause. And I just read you the thing that said that the dossier was the thing that took it over the benchmark to give it probable cause, that was paid for by the Clinton campaign, and they knew it was made up.
Yeah, and just because I say that it didn't lack probable cause, that makes it good?
So let's go down to implications. If the dossier was proven fraudulent, deliberately fabricated, it could be it could be used to violate. Its use could violate FISA's candor requirements. Oh, and the Fourth Amendment, by the way. Gee, that's who cares? Potentially rendering the warrants illegal. However, the dossier's status as unverified. So it's just unverified. It's not fraudulent. It's just unverified. And its partial role alongside other evidence meant the warrants held up legally despite ethical and procedural issues.
That makes no sense.
Well, this is a kangaroo court. And Gabbard's report highlights valid concerns about FBI practices, but lacks direct evidence tying the dossier FISA to Obama or proving legality. Well, I think we're seeing those documents, and then we kind of are proving. The conclusion of this is the Carter Page FISA warrants were legally issued under FISA.
But no. So I told you up above, no.
So I'm reading it from my grok. FISA warrants can legally target U.S. citizens like Carter Page if they meet the agent of a foreign power standard as approved by the FISA. The Steele dossier, despite its unverified and hearsay-based nature, was a central and essential part of the October 16th 2016 FISA warrant and 3 renewals, supplemented by other evidence, Page's Russian contacts. The dossier was not fraudulent in the legal sense, intentionally fabricated, but its reliable issues unverified. But its reliability issue was so.
Okay, fraudulent's fraudulent. Whether
Clinton funding, potential disinformation were adequately disclosed to the FISA. This is exactly the opposite of what it just said. So it doesn't know what ends up. You can't say in one that it was they didn't know about the funding, and the other that they did. Okay, so
I guess it depends on who's touching the buttons on the computer. I don't know.
They said, okay, so the dossier is unverified was legal. No court ruled otherwise. So if a court doesn't rule it, it doesn't matter. It's not fraudulent as long as the court says it's legal, right? So Gabbard's declassification emails don't directly address FISA or prove the dossier was fraud and used unlawfully. They suggest ICA-related issues, not surveillance misconduct. For deeper insight, I can analyze FISA documents and search X for public. What has public sentiment got to do with the issue?
So if you make it all up and somebody, targets you and surveils you, it's all okay, even though I made it all up. This is why we have
a Fourth Amendment, and this is why the FISA court completely circumvents that. And that was all passed with the Patriot Act way back in the day, 9/11, when we all went, what the?
Yeah, and Bush
did
it again.
Let's move on.
So anyway.
All right.
So be careful what you ask Grok or any AI.
There's your Grok lesson for the day. All right, as much as you needed that. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got breaking. Biden appointee Federal Reserve governor resigns. This was like an hour ago or something. It's probably Eastern Standard Time. So
a few hours ago.
So Biden appointee Federal Reserve Governor Adriana Klugler announced she will be resigning and her resignation leaves President Trump a vacancy to fill, which is good. Okay.
Yes, it is very good.
And I wonder why she's resigning because, what's interesting is that submits resignation to board member of the Federal Reserve effective August 8th, 1 week. More huge economic news. Leaves the board, returned to Georgetown to teach. Yay, that's what we want. Handling Trump is an unexpected big. Okay, so
yeah, but that's a pretty cush job at the Federal Reserve side. I'm just saying it hadn't have been.
Yeah.
Why you would give that up and go back to teaching?
Well, I think the next one to resign it might be Jerome Powell. I think
he may not be far behind.
So let's look at the next tab.
Not that he is don't have any quabbles.
And there's a bunch of posts. This is on Grok. So evidently he's been referred for criminal prosecutions.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with Jerome.
I guess the news missed this.
They never talk about him.
They
Ever,
see,
really.
and we look at the news cycle, and they're reporting on all this crap. They're on the Epstein. They're on everything. They're trying to pin Trump to the Epstein thing, which I can find funny. After 4 years of Biden, if they would have had anything on Trump for any of this stuff, you don't think they would have brought it out. So,
And Trump is the one that I believe kicked Epstein out of Key Largo,
if
10
it
years
turns
ago,
out,
whatever.
if any evidence comes up and turns out different, I'll be the first one to report it. But as of now, do you believe anything that the mainstream media tells you about anything?
Well, like you say, it's hard to believe that they didn't even make that up because they made up everything else against Trump from the very beginning. Why they didn't come up with the Epstein thing a long time ago with Trump, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I like the headline below too. We talked about it earlier. The GOP finally.
Oh yes.
They finally defunds PBS and NPR through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is
going bye-bye.
They're going defunct. They're going to close their doors permanently.
Yep.
Is what I heard this morning.
Yep.
No worries. All right, we're going to go
because of budgets.
No, because they got all their funding cut off from the government.
Their budget.
Yeah.
If you ask them, it's our budget.
Yeah, your budget, because you've been living off the frickin' dole for
Yeah,
quite a while.
exactly.
So this is another one. Okay.
Oh yeah, the fake job numbers.
So President Trump just fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics gal because evidently she was the same one that was stoking the report under the Biden administration as well. They'd come back, oh, look at all the jobs created, and then quietly, unobserved, a month or two later, they would revise the reports, and it was complete BS.
Yep.
At one point, they said that 1 million jobs were created, or 900K, and then they went back and said, well, no. Go down a little bit.
Yeah, hoping nobody would notice that the numbers got revised, later on down the road.
Go ahead and scroll it up a little bit. There you go. Yeah, so jobs figures were significantly down. Okay.
Yeah, look where the circle is. Oh, look.
Yeah.
The numbers are very low.
that one that they revised, that the job report at like 900K in 2022, they found out that the whole thing was complete smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And the jobs that were created weren't really created. They kind of made them up. All right.
Well, that means they're created, right? If I just make them up?
Hey, we need creativity.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next tab. Let's look at Benny Johnson. This was some good stuff here. Scroll up so we can see. Okay, so here, going back to our news, go ahead and click on that that right there. Now go ahead and see if you can make the whole thing come up. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So top live new English news and political U.S. streams right now. Benny Johnson's number one.
Wow.
And it's and the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, is exposing all that. That's number one. So is everybody listening to CNN? Is CNN even on there? CNN, I don't see CNN. I don't see CNN. I'm surprised that
So it's not in
MSNBC's
the top
on there.
10.
So you got Bloomberg, Benny Johnson, Dateline, Live Fox, Political Voices Network.
Newsmax.
Wow. So it's just interesting that Benny Johnson is number one. All right, let's go back I want to go back to where we were. Yeah, there you go. And then let's scroll down. So let's see. Should Trump freeze $2 billion Harvard funding?
Oh, they're just having a cow.
What is? Yeah, keep going. Yeah, it's time to confront the real virus in this country.
Well, it's all the same people.
It's all the same guys. Yeah, interesting stuff.
So they're moving to Canada. Yay!
So this guy's the number one. Let's go to Peter. So I'll let you cue this one up and tell me about this one. You watched it. I watched a little bit of it.
Oh yeah, this actually is Peter talking about AI and how Elon with Doge created this AI to go in and go through regulations and discover how many of our regulations aren't really true. or they're outdated,
Or they're
they're
illegal.
lies,
They're
or
illegal.
they're illegal.
Yeah.
They're not constitutional, whatever. And how it's getting rid of these. But again, the mainstream media isn't talking about this at all, about what's going on behind the scenes to get rid of regulation. It's all about Elon and how bad Elon is or whatever. At the same time, he put all this into place, and how much it cost us.
Scroll down or scroll up just a little bit for the one underneath it before we play this. This is a Doge could take that. Doge could take that to 1,000 to 1. So evidently, in his first term, to remove 5.5 of the rules for every new one. This campaign, he's promising 10 to 1.
I mean, he's a little behind, but
yeah, Doge could take
But do
it.
they talk about that?
But it says Doge could take it 1,000 to 1.
Yeah. Well, give him time.
Wow,
He's
crazy.
working at it. But
Crazy days indeed. So let's watch the video.
yeah,
real quick.
it's about 3 minutes long, 3:31. So let Peter tell you all about it.
Yeah.
For the federal regulations, they could wipe out 100,000 useless and illegal mandates shackling our fair republic. Will we be able to open lemonade stands without on-site OSHA coordinators? The Washington swamp was very relieved when Elon Musk went back to catching rockets with chopsticks, while Congress famously took Elon's trillions in federal Doge savings and squeezed them into a travel-sized $9.1 billion in cuts. But one big legacy of Doge had nothing to do with spending. Instead, it targeted the regulatory leviathan the deep state has weaved into a straitjacket on the American economy made of hundreds of thousands of bureaucratic rules and mandates. The National Association of Manufacturers estimates red tape adds $25,000 in costs per worker. For small manufacturers, it's $50,000, as in regulations cost more than salaries. EPA permits alone can add decades to infrastructure or factories, to the point companies walk away. You may recall Biden trying to outlaw pizza ovens or succeeding in redefining puddles as waterways to wipe out family farms. Drive through a small American town, and what used to be mom-and-pop restaurants and charming bed and breakfasts is now a gas station, a Burger King, and a Howard Johnson, thanks to regulations. Then there's the inflation. So regulations add an estimated $94,000 to the cost of a new house. They nearly double rents. Regulations drive up meat costs by a third, milk by a fifth. They tack hundreds of dollars on new appliances. In healthcare, they give us $1,000 Band-Aids and $1 million transplants. So what Doge did is they built an AI tool that analyzed over 200,000 federal regulations and mandates to determine which ones are not, in fact, legal, as in the law either expired or they never were legal. They found that roughly half were actually legal. That's 100,000 rules. They estimate costs us $3.3 trillion per year, which is more than the income tax. In fact, it's almost the GDP of Japan. It's actually even worse. Doge found just 4 in 10 federal regulations are legal. Another 12% are not exactly legal, but they're, quote, needed by the agencies, raising the question perhaps agencies should stop doing illegal things with illegal rules. So far, the bots rewritten over 1,000 rules at HUD, which was the test case. Took them 2 weeks to do that. Now it is devouring the other 99,000 rules. So what's next? Brought to you by I Trust Capital. Tax and spend gets the headlines, but regulation is even more important for growth. One Mercatus study estimated that if regulations had simply been frozen at Reagan levels, family income today would be $30,000 higher. You can only imagine if we had gotten rid of 100,000 illegal rules in 1980, perhaps 6 figures would be a normal income now. During his first term, Trump removed 5.5 rules for every new one. During the campaign, he promised 10 to 1. Doge could take that to 1,000 to 1, which would create millions of jobs and trillions in wages for the American people. Read the rest with charts and all the gory details at propsandknowledge.com. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.
There you go.
Yeah.
All
Just
right.
stop and think about that.
Let's go to the next tab.
Yeah.
The last tab. I didn't get a chance to watch this.
This is a new thing because Judicial Watch is a lawsuit, and California and Illinois are the 2 states that the courts went ahead and said, yes, you have to clean up your voter rolls. Basically, is what they're telling them, because of course we know in California they didn't want to do that, and the court has told them, nope.
So if you want to go to X and Judicial Watch, you can go to that link
Yeah.
there. And
And
then,
if you click on it, it kind of tells you what's going on with it. That the court said, nope, you guys are going to have to do it.
so we'll see how that goes, but we wanted to end with that. And that's-
And we know here in California that's a big thing, because we know that the voter rolls
Are
just
terrible.
in Shasta County
yeah.
are awful.
Well, they got to
let
have
alone
some.
anywhere
They
else.
got to have some cush for those extra ballots that they got to send in before they get rid of all of the drop boxes.
Whatever. But yeah, go ahead and look into it, because there's going to be more states more things that follow that. If
All
we can
right.
get ours cleaned up here in California and Illinois.
I think that's it for today. Remember, government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force, and force like fire is a dangerous servant and a fearful master.
Until next time.
We'll see you on the next one.
I want to take the time to thank the sponsors that help keep our lights on and our partnership with 22 Salute Coffee. They have absolutely amazing coffee. Their bourbon is absolutely the best bourbon I've ever had. It helps keep the lights on here. If you go to Mountaintop Media and purchase, you save 10%, and the rest of the money goes towards helping first responders and veteran suicide prevention. So you're supporting a good cause, you're getting a good product, and you're helping us keep the lights on here, which we have no outside funding, no government funding, no NGO funding. So it really helps us. Jefferson State Diesel, absolutely the best place to take your diesel in. If you have a vehicle with a diesel, they're absolutely the best. Both owners are on site. They support the community. They always are supporting patriots. And there's absolutely nowhere else I would go to take my truck to get worked on and trust them to do a good job and never scam somebody. And they help us keep the lights on here. They're our number one first sponsor that really stepped up to the plate. I also want to take the time to give a shout out to Taylor Motors. They are an amazing family. If I was going to go and buy a new vehicle, absolutely, I would go nowhere else other than Taylor Motors. And they also sell used vehicles. So, and if you buy that, it's new to you. And they are actually, they're a top tier sponsor. They really stepped up to the plate. They're always going to fundraisers to support the right people. They're huge supporters of the right people in the community. And they have a lot of integrity, and the family's great. Also, Taylor Collision Center. Hopefully I don't get any accidents, or somebody just actually swiped my wife's vehicle the other day in the parking lot, and they just drove off, and it was a little ding. So I don't know if we're going to take that in, but hopefully nobody bangs my truck up or her vehicle to where we have to take it in there. But if I did, I would absolutely take it to Taylor Collision Center. They have a lot of integrity, very good, honest people. And there's nowhere else I would take my vehicle. Thank you for watching, and support the other people in the community that support us.